Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome. We're gonna have a little bit of an intelligent conversation today, and today our topic of discussion is going to be the First Amendment, the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. That's what we're gonna discuss today. So, um, I have some notes. I took some notes. We're gonna go over a couple of things, some things I have planned. Feel free to ask questions. Um, I welcome that as always. All right, so let's start with the basics. Let's start with the basics. The Bill of Rights. Your guide to um, essentially freedoms in this country, in the United States. And the First Amendment reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That is the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. And again, this gives you exactly as it states. It gives you the right to, state the truth, especially the truth. But to again with that notion in mind, the concept of speaking the truth, essentially the concept of wanting to have and give people the right to, if something's going on, to peaceably assemble, and the freedom of the press to essentially responsibly cover this and discuss responsibly what is happening. Now, notice how I used certain words there. I used responsibly with the media, because again, that's not what's happening. We know that. That's a lot of what happens. People focus on the negative a lot and stuff like that. We spend weeks and weeks and weeks talking about, Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. And while that's terrible, there's plenty of other terrible things going on that we could be talking about. That is what it is, unfortunately. And so you have, in the modern society, you have basically a huge amount of media platforms taking, exercising their right to free speech, but doing it irresponsibly, doing it while lying, while misreporting. So just realize that is a lot of what's going on, and not the big ones that came before. Not on a big scale. They have a reputation to maintain. Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. I'm talking about the ones that all of a sudden sporadically just pow pow boom showing up out of nowhere after all the the huge grab for fake news to just call everything fake news. And you realize that Trump funded actual outlets that you would call media outlets that produce not real news. You don't call it news. It's just nonsense, lies. And they call it that. They call it news. They call it media. And he funded this when he became president the first time. Like, this is some of the stuff that he did. Where these outlets popped up and they just exercised that free speech all right. But again, none of it was real reporting. So a lot of it was confusing to the voters, to the base that liked him. And for those of us that just follow news, and you, again, this is why they immediately want to discredit, the big news outlets and stuff like that. Because again, that's it. And that's the pattern. They just sit here and blame every big news outlet and only follow these. It's like, well, no. If anything, again, the big news outlets have a reputation. Again, they have to maintain this reputation. They don't want to be caught misreporting constantly. And like the ones that do, then you end up with a Fox News situation where anything that says Fox now, people are super questionable. There's a lot of Fox networks out there that aren't Fox News, by the way. They're just reporting news, just so that you know. But yeah, Fox and Friends, the program that sits there and defends Trump left and right. That's some pretty outlandish misreporting and stuff like that. So anyway, wholly aside from all that's going on, the outlandish misreporting, the not responsible media and stuff like that. Wholly aside from that going on, let's get into why we are here today, the interesting thing that happened earlier, and what is under attack in this country. And I've been under attack. My free speech is under attack. I can't even come on here and have a stream and have legitimate numbers count. We've talked about this. We've talked about how thousands of views are being added, or either added or removed. I doubt they're being added. Like, that's the point. Of course they're being removed. And the bit rate and all that other stuff that we've talked about over the years that we've been talking about it. Okay, and then all of a sudden, as this escalates, Kimmel is basically as Trump is so justified and nobody's gonna have any consequences for him anymore. He takes Kimmel off the air. And stuff like that. He starts getting really, really liberal with his decisions in this whole free speech matter. So, basically, what I was doing was I was again asking Gemini. As you all know, we sit and use Gemini to compile some information to talk about Trump. We do that, and we sit here and we prove left and right. We've been doing this for a while now, where we had all this interference. The app would refuse to answer questions all of a sudden and stuff like that, all around us, using it to left and right compile a huge list of everything that Trump was trying to take credit for that Obama or Biden did. And it was doing it. It was just, and like in real time, my bit rate was shifting around. The stream would abruptly end. The app would start like, sorry, there's a problem, while trying to respond. Basically just all these things would just start happening all around this. And again, this was one of the many things that we've talked about on this channel, where it's very clear to me that while in this country, so protected by the United States umbrella, as they so brag about, it is really absurdly ridiculous to sit here and claim that a foreign government would have such influence on me as a citizen regularly. No. Again, it just again that's to think that that's the case. Mm, all the private companies, just all the checks and balances. Nah. This again, this is that beginning of the autocracy taking place that everybody talks about, and we sit here and talk about these words autocracy and stuff like that, but the point is, it's not just a word, it's not just a thing to be scared of. It literally is the thing that will destroy everything that this country was built on, that ancestors died for in wars, and just the fabric of who we are as people will change the world because of the US, of what it is and has been to the world and to everybody. And so you can't overlook the importance of people saying and warning of an autocracy. It's not just a word. It's not. And yes, if it's sort of, if it looks like I'm holding back tears sometimes when I'm talking about it, I'm not acting. It's not an act. That part's not an act. That's a genuine concern. It's the brain looks forward to a country that would look like North Korea or something like that. It's not good. It looks forward to, not looking forward in a positive way, but the brain, I'm just saying, well, that's what we're looking at, essentially, when we look at a future in an autocracy run government where somebody that's really rich can just take over. And again, that might not even be the case. It might be the case with Putin, where, well, that this guy just rigged his own elections and just had his own competition assassinated every time he wanted to win an election and stay in power. So what do you think Trump's going to do? And has admitted to saying he's going to do. So again, with that being said, let me tell you about what I just tried to ask the AI because of what is happening. There's been a massive increase in terrorist attacks. And that's what you call it, acts of terror, on democratic people in general. Just people. Not even senators, like judges. People. Since Trump took office this last time. And again, it's not, the attack isn't on ice. Right? No huge amounts of cops are being unalived and huge amounts of voters that vote for Trump or anything like that. No. We're talking about people that should not have been detained, taken to a facility like a concentration camp, and then somehow were unalived while in their charge. And again, this is labeled as supposedly anti-ICE, yet no cops, no ICE were injured or hurt or anything like that. And thank God. But how are you trying to say that's what it is when that's the case? I'm not saying they should have been. I'm just saying, how do you label it as the evidence doesn't support that? That's all I'm saying. And the point is, we had evidence of Donald Trump meddling in the AI before. We've talked about this before. You guys already know this. We've discussed this before. We put it on the stream for you to see. And just today, I have screenshots for you of Gemini, Google's powerful AI, refusing to answer questions when asked, can you compile a list? Can you tell me, about the escalation of Democrats being attacked since Trump has come into office? And every single time asking that, it just gives me a list of articles. It literally won't answer it. It won't give me an answer. It just gives me a list of articles. And we talked about this before, about where it's being controlled by Trump's FBI or his NSA or some sort of organization he shouldn't be using for things that he wants to use it for now, to meddle in the AI, to get you to not ask AI questions, to simply see if Trump is right or wrong about an equation. Just like when they sat here and they played defense, and do you remember all the fake fact checkers that were specifically backed and funded by the Trump administration? Like he literally put fake fact checkers on the internet. When Hillary was trying to tell you, well, I hope you're getting your fact checkers out, and you all made fun of that. But it's like, no, come on, man, like that's the point. Don't make fun of the fact. The truth is the fact. You want truth. You want that. That's fact. It's what everybody said. It's what came before. It's what we're warning you about. It's what's happening again and over and over and over and over, and you see it every day. It looks exactly like people standing outside a concentration camp, riling up the police that were manipulated to do this in the first place. I've been doing my research, and I've been discovering that around 2022, 2023, there was just a lot of anarchy going on. Lots of body cam footage of police being unalived by stabbings, shootings, senseless crap. And let me tell you one story before we go into this next part, before I show you what I'm going to show you about Gemini, okay? Because this is super important. This is everything. This is what's happening. And unfortunately, the police aren't seeing it, because remember, the Texas cop in Texas blamed this on what people are saying on the internet. He blamed it on free speech. So I'm going to tell you what I saw, okay? And this was only a few years ago. Excuse me a second. This is terrible. A fake call was what this was. Because what happened was a woman was riling somebody up in public. Get the cops, get the cops. He's got a gun, or whatever she said, Got them to call. Car took off. So they're in this high pursuit, high speed chase, whatever. They finally get the car. All these cops are cornered. This woman is like acting like she's super afraid. She's hysterical. I believed it watching the video. She's one hell of an actress. She's hysterical. She finally gets to safety out of the car. All these police, the point is, they don't want to approach. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what weapon he has. They don't know what he's doing. This could be exactly what you've been talking about, what they've been worrying about, just like in a terrorist attack where they're just trying to take out some people. So he's just gonna do it as right as they you never know. So of course they're not going to immediately approach the vehicle. Of course not. They can't. So they have to do what they have to do. And all these cops are there, wasting their time there, while there's this other high-speed chase going on. And I sort of get the gist that basically another cop in this other high-speed chase now lost his life in a head-on collision because there wasn't enough people to handle that chase quick enough before it escalated to that, because everybody was dealing with this woman. So, meanwhile, this woman's safe in the back of a cruiser. They're getting her out of there. They got like the SWAT teams finally showing up. You know, they got this big thing that looks like the army delivered it to them. You know, just to you know, it's to smash through things and stuff like that. So, you know, they whip that out and they do what they gotta do. They get the smoke. They determine, guess what? Nobody's in the car. All that. An officer just died in a head-on collision. And these cops are wasting their fucking time. You have to realize that's what they think. That's why they're so pissed. And so basically, and I'm sorry for this. I am. I did not intend to. Anyway. So this woman, she's being interviewed and stuff like that. Basically, they determine, you know, they're even fanning out. They're trying to find a sniper. They're doing all this crap. And meanwhile, this cop is killed in a head-on collision. This you know, I think he was decorated. He's well liked, that sort of thing. And he's killed in a head-on collision. Because they're wasting their time with somebody that after all this, they find out this lady was screwing with them. The whole time. The whole time. It was made up. The whole thing. She made it up. Completely made up. Nothing actually happened. She's got like Asperger's or something. This much attention. She needed this much attention. This is the point. So, no, it's not the gangs and, you know, Trump blaming it on the cartel and stuff. Don't let that affect you. It's not that. It's just hate. It's just crazy people not being dealt with. It really is. And you know, it's always senseless. Like you always you don't. It's terrible. It hurts every one of us. And that's why you don't sit here and you don't. Every media outlet needs to talk about this shooting and this stabbing and this. Why? And then when you do, what you have to realize what this does to people, what this does to the country, is it's called desensitizing. People see it enough, they don't care anymore if people die. That's the problem. It really is. That's a real thing. Desensitization. It's desensitizing you to the fact that, again, you would have cared. You know, like it's just like moderation with anything. You know, this is why I've said with certain music and stuff like that, if you have some like depression or something, and you notice an artist or something like that typically does that type of music, don't listen to it all the time. You know, don't sit there and listen to that 24/7. You should be listening to Electric Callboy or something, you know? You should be listening to the upbeat stuff, you know? Like again, yes, sometimes it's okay to listen to that to kind of get it out a little bit and you know, feel heard and feel you know, like valued and stuff like that, you know, like you're somebody else knows what you're going through. I feel you. But 24/7, that's your problem. You know, now you have a problem. Now you're addicted to the pain. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because now you're desensitized. Now you want to see it in others. Now you expect it. Expect other people to feel as miserable as you. You want it. And it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not a fair way of life. Now, people are not equal. They're not. Now, some people are just flat out really super lucky and gifted. And others are not. We, as citizens, as people, have to make it equal. We make it equal. We have to forego sometimes. You know, like just like soldiers fighting a war or something like that. Sometimes we must forego these things to make sure that others can live on. Because again, when it's all said and done, it's just going to happen, bloom, in a blink of an eye, and suddenly this First Amendment will be gone, and you won't be able to say anything anymore. Ever. You won't be able to talk about it. You won't be able to post about anything. Suddenly, all the media outlets will be shut down. There'll be one media outlet, Trump's media outlet, Trump TV. Is that right? Do you really think that's right? Do you agree with that message? Even speaking to anybody that aligns with even destruction. Do you speak to that? Do you want to be silenced? No. Even you don't want to be silenced. And you will. You really think that Trump's your buddy. That's the point. He's nobody's buddy. Now, he's palling up with you because you're his base. You know, not condemning the attacks and stuff like that, the senseless attacks that we would all call senseless, and even speaking to those who would see that as not senseless, that like destruction, and even pandering to that for a half a second to speak to that group. Again, even you would be silenced in this future. Even you. The very second anything is done, you try to burn something, you try to do anything, instantly you're shot. On site. So that the media can show how Trump is cleaning up the streets and doing it right. He's not going to lock you away. He's going to shoot you. Okay? Because remember, that's what's happening in North Korea. That's what the soldiers there do that speak out against Kim Jong-un in broad daylight. They just shoot them. Oh, and this is after they beat them in front of people. And you think that just because you speak for destruction and anarchy, Trump, it has nothing to do with that. No, he just used you just as he uses any group of people. So again, Trump wins. Hence the term. And so the point is, I would ask any group to fight against that. That's destruction. That's chaos. Even more so than your own destruction and chaos. That's world burning stuff. That's one guy in charge. That's not what it's not. That's bigger government. That's more restriction. You get what I'm saying? You want to get shot in the street because you stole something? That's the segue there. So let's talk about this, and I can put these screenshots up here for you guys. But truthfully, I simply was sitting here trying to get the AI to literally just compile, hey, tell me about attacks that are escalating against Democrats since Trump's been brought it up. Like, we know of this. Like, we've been talking about. We've heard this. You see it in headline tags on YouTube and in articles and stuff like it's not unheard of. Okay, so when I ask Gemini and it just doesn't give me an answer, it just lists articles. It's obvious to see what's happening, where basically Trump is restricting the AI to not answer questions that would make him look bad. That's it. So I can show you a couple screenshots here, and then we'll go over those the actual answer. But I do want to show you some screenshots here of it just literally not working. And because we've talked about this before, like this really did happen before, where we had it was not answering questions about Trump at all after a certain point. And a lot of it seemed to be triggered after we definitely proved some stuff prior to this, with stuff prior to this. So I don't know if these are correctly, I may have to go through. Okay, here it is. Here's one. Here's one. We'll just bring it up on this screen today. So here it is, as you can see here. And I simply asked you to provide me factual information about how many Democrats have been. And you can kind of see what I was asking there. And again, it just gives a list, as you can see. No like actual answer from the AI itself. So like basically my point is, the AI is supposed to give an AI answer. Why is it just doing what Google would do? That's a Google search. You understand, like that this is it, like you can see it says AI mode at the top left there. That like the purpose of that is to literally tell me, like, the AI is supposed to do the work and it's not doing it. Because I asked it about stuff having to do with tax against Democrats since Trump came into office. Like, obviously this makes Trump look bad, so basically they're programming the AI to recognize if you're trying to make Trump look bad. And so we have talked about this before, but this wasn't the case until I started kind of doing this and he started attacking. And really, like, it just started getting slowly worse and slowly worse. Hold on, let me I can get you another one here. What's this one? Oh yeah, so here's the AI giving an AI answer after I said give me an AI answer, not articles to my statement. And then it said to provide an AI answer to your statement, it is essential to first understand the statement. So what it's doing is what it did there is it refreshed the page so it wouldn't know what I had previously asked. So if I redundantly double down later on and I ask it, no, answer my question, it will literally refresh the whole thing so you have no idea what you previously asked. And this is the newest thing that they did to make sure that you can't get it to discredit Donald Trump. So this is first-hand free speech under attack with Google, with Gemini. And again, I've already showed you this. I'm sorry. Hi, Jennifer. I've already shown you this, guys, before. I've shown you this before. This has been happening in real time to me. We've been experiencing all these things. Again, sometimes it's the bit rate shifting around, just convenient at convenient times, that all the concurrents leave the stream and stuff like that. Sometimes, we get thousands of views in here at a time, and then, they just disappear, Oh, man. So anyway, yeah, let's go ahead into... Actually, if you want, that was only 2 screenshots. I can show you a couple more here. Let's get into this here. No, you won't. All right. So I was confronting it. If you can see here, no, you won't answer my question because I asked you about Donald Trump. And again, it gives me an AI answer. Thus proving again the AI does answer, does function, and it will even function there. But again, when actually trying to get, you see what I'm saying? So like, it's just not true if it's against Donald Trump is basically what they're trying to convince it. Oh my goodness. So that's where we are with this. The reason you see that me refreshing that is because that did freeze a couple times. They do try to freeze the concurrent counter. That's why we have one, because they really try to remove the views. So when we have a concurrent counter, it sort of shows what they used to be, so we can document that for later's sake. But I refresh this because it often does not reflect. Like earlier when I was talking, we saw it shoot up to 21. And by the time I refreshed it, it had already dropped down to 13 again. So, it's the sort of thing where it's obvious to see that it's like freezing there for, like just an extra long amount of time, and they're trying to get, like we've seen it freeze for, too long. We've seen that. We've seen the glitches. So anyway, another screenshot here that was 3, what's this one? Okay, so there's me trying to get a follow-up. If you see there's my actual follow-up question where I'm typing it out there, and I simply ask you to provide me factual information about how many Democrats have been attacked since coming to office, and you don't answer yada 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 yada. That's what I actually asked, and it just continued to give me articles and stuff and not answer the question. So I just wanted to, like, again, at least show you some of these, so that way you can see that I did. And then I'm like, what's the purpose of this AI if you don't actually give responses? Every response you give is a list of articles. And then it goes, as a responsible AI, so it literally starts going into... So again, it does give responses as it should, but again, it's being programmed to not discredit Donald Trump, which again is contrary to free speech, obviously. So let's go ahead and actually get an answer. Let's get an answer, shall we? Let's get an answer. Attacks on Democrats. Attacks on Democrats. Give me a summary on attacks since Donald Trump of attacks on Democrats since Donald Trump has taken office in 2025. And here we go. Here's a summary of reported attacks on Democrats or perceived political violence threats targeting Democratic-leaning figures since Donald Trump's return to the presidency, including motives, incidents, and broader trends. Key incidents and examples. Minnesota shootings of Democratic legislators. June 2025, 2 Democratic lawmakers, including Speaker Emerita, I don't know who this person is, Melissa Hortman, and their spouses were shot. Hortman was killed, others seriously injured. The attack was characterized by authorities as politically motivated, and the perpetrator had a list of nearly 70 people, including Democratic politicians and abortion rights activists. Advocates, not activists, advocates. That's terrible. So the perpetrator, basically it's indicating that the person that did this was planning to target 70 people. Had a list of 70 people, including Democratic politicians and abortion rights advocates. Well, what the heck is the FBI saying about that? That was in June, and all these attacks are still happening? What the You know somebody's house was... Are you kidding? Kash Patel is such a joke, man. Albuquerque shootings and threats. Homes and offices of elected Democratic officials were shot at in early December, though no injuries were reported. It's under investigation whether these are connected to political targeting. Attack on Paul Pelosi. Oh, here we go. Yep. And now, again, I want to remind you guys. Donald Trump pardoned everybody that showed up as an angry mob on January 6th. And all these people have started committing crimes. So I want to throw that out there too. They have done that. And since that, since like when they were investigated after that, like some of them like there was huge amounts of crimes they found even while investigating them. You know what I mean? Like for this, like the whole like the one guy had an illegal gun that they found. Like, I guess it wasn't his or something like that. And it was just in his house. So, like, that's the point. Like, these people are criminals. They showed up to commit crimes on January 6th. This is who Trump gets to organize. Okay? I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. I mean, I saw it a mile away, but... wow. "70 people. This person had a list of 70 people, including Democratic politicians and abortion rights advocates. That's disgusting. I mean, we don't... The FBI knows about this? Where's that list? And are these people that have been attacked since then on that list? Can we confirm that? That's what I'd be doing. Are you kidding? What are they doing? Oh my gosh. Attack on Paul Pelosi 2022 before Trump took office again, but part of a broader pattern. The husband of Speaker Nancy Pelosi was assaulted in their home with a hammer. I remember hearing about that. And remember, Trump has been lying to these people about Democrats and Nancy Pelosi for years. Like, that's the whole point. He's been spreading lies and riling these people up and aiming them at the Democrats, convincing them that all the problems are the Democrats, when really it's actually the other way around. I mean, Trump proves that every day when the Republicans give him the power beyond the law. Nobody's above the law, yet Donald Trump will give him all the power. That should tell you all you need to know. That's them admitting every single day that they will break the law, that they will violate your constitutional rights. The President of the United States does not supersede the courts, does not have the right to randomly have police raid cities and stuff like that and declare national emergency. He just can't do that. So, again, like, notice what you're seeing. Like, the whole point is that thing that free speech thing, the Mario Savio thing I keep mentioning. That's the point behind what the Democrats are doing right now. You know, the whole thing about, you know, you got to put your body upon the gears and upon the wheels and upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. That's the Democrats. That's what they're doing. That is their power to fight back, because again, the Republicans are, you know, majority right now, and they're just doing illegal crap, not caring about your rights, trying to take away your rights so that way you don't find out in the end that it was them, that it was all them. That's why they're doing this. Why else would they do it? They're all agreeing and getting it together that they need to bury this. It's like the big evil crime syndicate in the freaking TV shows that you have to worry about. That's why I told you to go watch Zero Day. The whole point is, like, yes, that is fiction, but again, there's a lot of real key points in that you should notice. And the main key point is that even sometimes a couple of Democrats here and there will get together behind the scenes with these massive, big amounts of Republicans that are doing things behind your back. So again, it makes all of the rest of them look bad. It's not all Democrats. It's a couple here and there that are stupid. So I'm just... again, don't... The Republicans, yes, they have given all their power to Trump, and they have proven that they do not represent you, because if they represented you, they would not give away their power to Trump. They represent you. That's your power. Why are they letting Trump have it? It's completely against everything, the Bill of Rights, Constitution, everything that stands for. Is free speech important? Yes. Must have it. Must. It is their First Amendment. It must maintain. Again, we'll go back to that then, since there's some here that may not have been here earlier. We defined it. The First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. I wanted to read it exact. So, that is our First Amendment. And remember, the government has no place in religion. So why is it in God we trust? You don't see that as a problem? The government has no place in religion. And why is it that constantly, we are reminded that rich people have more rights than the rest of us? Because constantly your Republican representatives are giving those rich people tax breaks so they feel so inclined to feel that way. They're not even paying the same tax percentage as you, is the point. They're always the amount that is paid is always more because they make more. The point is the same percentage as you. When you go to the grocery store, if you bought more stuff, is the amount of taxes that you pay at the end, is it more than if you bought less? Yes. So then why wouldn't you do the same thing to people that make more money? It's a percentage. That's how it works. And yes, Mr. Knight, I like that. The rich have always been exempt from the rules. Consider fines to a poor person. This is the possibility of jail, etc. The rich, it's a cup of coffee. Yeah, exactly. Yep, they don't bear consequences. Police don't either. This is why police are being used, because they know that oftentimes police won't bear the consequences. So again, it's very easy for them to continue using that group of people over and over and over and over. Because nothing's going to happen to them. See what I'm saying? And that goes back on, again, what I was saying before, where it's just the manipulation of dividing the country. We are not the United States under Trump. We are the divided states. He's doing this. It's him. It's an attack on your free speech, and it's an attack on your rights as a person, as an individual. He's attacking everything Obama worked for and did well. It stands for everything that Obama fought against. Everything. I mean, terrorism, flat out, there's flat out terrorism going on in this country, in astronomical levels, and the Trump administration is turning a blind eye because they're doing his bidding. Judge Dianne Goldstein's house fire and threats. Her home burned down. She had earlier issued rulings adverse to Trump administration's directives. She had received death threats before the incident. So again, these are all cited. Most of these are Wikipedia. Some of them AP News, People.com, CNN. Yeah, it's all very accredited things where it's obvious to see it's pulling it from something. Again, we know this happened. You can go on YouTube and watch the house burn. Like people are like people act like it's not happening, and you literally go on there and watch a video clip. Meanwhile, the one guy's like crippled now because of it. This is ridiculous. That we live in a society that actually. That was always the point, to make people question what is. By confusing you with information. That's why they're doing this to the AI, where they're not allowing the AI to answer. Again, I'm not using Gemini, because clearly Gemini wouldn't answer me. But I'm using a different, obviously, AI. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. Now, you already know the question that we asked. Give me a summary of attacks on Democrats since Donald Trump has taken office, okay? So we're just reading through that, and again, it is citing. These are real. And a lot of this is information I already knew. If there's something here that I don't know about, I will call it out and I will look it up. That's what I do here. But a lot of this is stuff I actually had already mentioned. The judge. That was what I was talking about earlier, when I didn't have the effort to get the words out. It's the sort of thing where it's stuff I've heard before. Now the 70 people, the list of 70, that's insane. I didn't hear that, but I believe it. And that's the Minnesota shootings. So anyway, political threats surge in threats to public officials. Since Trump took office, and combining with the prior years, there has been a sharp rise in threats to members of both parties. There has. There has, flat out. And remember, the Democratic Party typically, and that's why I support them too. I've always been on here to try to tell you guys that I'm pretty center of the road here, but lately Democrats and their administrations, that's what they've been supportive, like togetherness, peace, conservatism. They haven't been what, again, the Republicans paint them as, which is the thing that they are. They're the kid that gets caught doing something and they go, he did it. That's what every Republican is. They're the kid that's caught doing something and they go, he did it. It's literally everything they do. Pam Bondi's doing it. She testifies in front of Congress, and she can't even. She's like on ecstasy or something. She's like visibly like her eyes are like moving around all over the place, and then she's like laughing. She can't not laugh hysterically at what they're trying to ask her, and the whole point is she won't answer a question. They ask her a yes or no question, and then she starts giving them propaganda and starts going on about, well, as I was saying, our administration has been doing great things and strides to... I asked you a very simple question. Did you or did you not? And before I was interrupted, as I was saying, our administration make a great... I don't care about the strides that you're making in your dumb administration, that you're trying to blah, 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 and filibuster this hearing, okay? The whole point is they're trying to conduct a legal hearing into the, inner workings of what her great and masterful attorney general mind has to say about what the Department of Justice is doing, and stuff like that, about all this shit that's going on. All these people are being killed, all this stuff's going, and she's laughing at the fact that they want answers. She laughs at this and doesn't give an answer. The Attorney fucking General of the United States of America. And basically looks like she's on ecstasy the entire time she's there. Why does everybody in Trump's cabinet right now look like they're on drugs? I'm serious. I'm genuinely asking, why is that the case? The point is, Kash Patel's doing it too. None of them are answering questions. These questions are being asked by your representatives, the people that represent you. You want answers. They're not answering. They're not doing the jobs. That's the point. And then, now, they're being attacked and threatened and stuff like that just because they're trying to represent you and ask for answers and give you representation. And they're not giving those answers. They're just being threatened. I'd call the Democrats heroes, is what I would do. I would call them heroes. I would basically say that the ones that are still standing up for it, thank God for them, because again, they're the last line of defense here. This guy really is just attacking your free speech, dividing people, lying about everything, sitting here manipulating the AI. I can't even ask AI anymore. Yeah, I can't even. The prices are going to be going up real soon. You're gonna see. And the next year, prices are going to be going up massively. And it was always going to happen. He's going to bankrupt the. It's just bad. Foreign policy's bad. NATO hates him. Now he's trying to smooch with NATO again, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Meanwhile, wasn't it nice when Obama would just state his opinion on things and state his stance on things, and you just sit there and listen to an interview with Obama? He would just articulate everything he was going to do. And if you didn't get to something, you'd give him a hard time. You'd be like, yeah, that was one of my biggest regrets. But, and then he'll give you a real good explanation. He'll give you an answer. He won't bullshit it. He'll give you an answer. Trump? No. Nope. That's the difference. And you can deduce that for yourself. You can look it up for yourself. One was intelligent and cared. The other is quite frankly the complete polar opposite. And racist. And a lot of people see it. A lot of people see that. That a lot of this is racists hiding behind Trump. Or they know it too. And they're hiding behind that image. They're hoping this continues so that they can be further justified to continue their racist bullshittery. It's unfair. Donald Trump. That guy's had everything he's ever wanted. Ever. And now he's deciding all this shit? Taking away so much shit and harming so many people? All this because of this guy? This guy that's always had everything? No, don't give him the keys. You didn't give the keys to Jesus Christ. Yeah, you crucified him. And now, someone like Trump, somebody that comes in like a bat out of hell, like a raging lunatic, taking credit for taking women's rights away, the rights of the about decisions on their own body. Taking credit for reinstating a racist policing organization that rounds people up based on the color of their fucking skin. That's the guy. So again, you crucify Jesus Christ, somebody that was for peace, hugging each other, men holding hands, women holding hands, like that people were like, oh, that's gay, we can't have that. Oh, so crucify him. People are no different today. Literally biblical times, just as hateful, and you're still lifting up douchebags like Trump, who paint their face orange and are wrong so often that they have to embroider red hats that say I was right about everything. That big of a child that you have to embroider a hat and wear it in the Oval Office. You're the President of the United States, for Christ's sake. And you're so about yourself. You know, it's not enough that you're President of the United States. You must embroider a hat that says you're right about everything. Like, again, that's the end-all be-all for you. Wow. Yeah, that doesn't show what a big fucking child you are. It's like the asshole that wins a competition and gets a fucking trophy. Then turns around. And looks at the second place person and goes, ha ha ha, I won. And all the pictures that are taken in the media of the people standing with somebody in the middle, standing somebody second, somebody third, grading people like that. The symbolism of that. People just don't get how stupid and archaic this is. Look. Have a winner. Have a winner. Have a second place if you want. Have a third place. That's fine. But don't put them on platforms that symbolize the people know it already. Put them on the same level, same ground. Look at what you're doing to society. What you've been doing. You have these Olympic games. You go all over the world. You do these things. This is how you grade people constantly. It's not how you do it. It's not how you win people over. It's not how you gain world peace. It's not how you do it. Again, that's a great idea, Olympic Games, getting people to compete and come together, but then the symbolism over time. Initially, it was a great idea. It did bring people together, but now over time. And then people say, oh, well, that's woke. That, like wanting to cancel an idea or move on from an idea because of a new understanding that's woke. And when we need to cancel that. No, that's what we need to cancel. We need to cancel the thought of canceling a newer, better, evolved idea. That's what Donald Trump is doing. He's using people that like to call things woke and cancel it into thinking this. So that those people cancel everything inherently. And he manipulates them. So he just creates, he loved it probably when that streamer said, oh yeah, Trump's going to take care of wokeism and stuff. He probably loved that. Jumped all over that. Immediately had that support. Because that streamer was irresponsible. And did that. Now he can too. You realize what you're doing. And so the point is that you don't try to label something as this is a concept we don't like and any thoughts of it are just canceled now. And stuff like that. Unless something is inherently bad in the sense that it harms people. So how would we define harm? Obviously physical harm, mental, and then infringes upon your rights. That Bill of Rights that I talked about. Okay. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about how we know that this does. And we know that constantly Donald Trump and that administration, this type of thinking, is using that factor in our culture to manipulate all of you to do exactly what he needs you to do to root for him. He needs everybody to play their roles. He needs Democrats to be Democrats, to be who they are. When I'm a martial arts instructor and stuff like that, and I'm in the public's eye and whatnot, and I have a huge following, it doesn't look good for him. Especially the center of the road point of view, where I can expertly and responsibly talk about things and get people together versus splitting them up. Oh yeah. He's going to disrupt that. Just like when Jimmy Kimmel tells a joke about Trump, Trump's going to spin that and rip him off the air and make it about Charlie Kirk. And remember, this is what makes Trump look so guilty. The fact that his people jumped all over that so quickly. Remember what I said to you. Don't let him take out his own people for the sake of using it for political gain. I truly believe that. I truly believe that. I truly believe that this was motivated and incited by Donald Trump. I do. Absolutely. And I think that he knew it was coming. He was waiting for it. He didn't know necessarily who it was going to be. He probably had some ideas. He probably had a list of people, possibles, that he was keeping an eye on. And as soon as it happened, okay. Now we'll play the pity party. Just like they did the first time it almost happened. The time they didn't plan for. When Donald Trump's ear got nicked. And he learned that everybody is going to jump on the support train for him just because they feel bad. So he's gonna use that now. That's the disgusting person that you're dealing with. Broader trends and dynamics, politically motivated violence. The incident suggests a growing problem of violence and threats directed at elected Democrats, not limited to rhetoric, but including attempted assassinations, shootings, and home invasions, etc. Partisan polarization. Many of these acts are tied to political identity, e.g., partisan alignment, issue stances like abortion rights, rather than purely personal motives. I agree. And that's terrorism. That's when you can say it's acts of terror, because it's politically motivated. Okay. I do this once in a while. I suggest a movie. Okay, my favorite movie of all time is a movie called Equilibrium. Okay? That is a look at a society of what would happen, essentially if they forced people to not have feelings anymore and stuff like that. Like a forced totalitarian society and stuff. Nature would take its course eventually. Like essentially, it's wrong, is the point. But that is absolutely extreme, and it was Christian Bale, and it was amazing. Another movie that I think that you need to watch, that I think a lot of people maybe have forgotten about. I hope not. I hope you haven't forgotten. This is a precursor. This movie was a huge, massive impact on the culture and society, and just this idea. It wasn't this movie. It was this idea. So this movie was, somebody just putting pen, to this idea. Essentially putting film to this idea. So just remember that this idea, it flooded the streets of the UK. It flooded Europe. It flooded all of Western society in general. And, it's not a problem. It's the solution. Like free thinking and not bullying and accepting lesbians and gays. And it doesn't matter. And, like accepting that if somebody doesn't want to tell you what their sexual orientation is, that should be okay too. So, the movie that I would recommend, again, I'd recommend that you watch, is brilliant acting, brilliant writing, brilliant everything. Hugo Weaving was brilliant, and so was Natalie Portman. She was in it too. V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta. And it is the classic use of that famous mask that you guys see a lot. This is sort of that character. That's the embodiment of that portrayal, essentially. And he's not a bad guy. That's what I want you guys to realize. Don't paint that person as a bad guy. Again, there are certain things that need to happen and stuff like that, but the ultimate message is never violence, never hate. The ultimate message is that if you try to take over and overthrow the government, they're going to stop you. It's not going to happen. You're going to have A hell of a time. So anyway, I really do just think that, you know, a lot of you guys need to realize that that's the message that a lot of those folks have, where it's, yeah, you take a look at what was going on, you know, like where the woman that Natalie Portman was playing, you know, like she couldn't even be honest with her parents and about her, she liked women, you know, and stuff like that. You know, that was the point. Was like, you know, like even they would cast her out and stuff like that, and it's just, it's not woke. It's just, it is what it is. You know, I'm not like, imagine being that person. Like, that's the point. You never put yourself in that position. Imagine just, you're gay. You know, it's not something you chose. It just happens. People don't choose that. Just to let you know. And so things are just different. You look at things differently. You treat it differently. Because there's always been a society that does this. The sooner that you stop doing that and accept those people as people, smart people, intelligent people, good people, but people either way, sexual orientation, who they prefer, has nothing to do with whether they're a person or not. And so the point is, the sooner that everybody starts getting on board, the sooner they're going to start realizing how foolish they've sounded this whole time. Yeah, you're just sitting here calling everything woke and stuff like that just because you understand that maybe there's a legitimate concern that somebody actually had because of all this stuff that's going on, where we have a society that would actually harm people just because they found out somebody was gay or something like that. Do you understand? It's personal information. So the sooner we get to accepting this in society, the sooner we can start being more honest, and people can start telling and being more honest with their sexual orientation, and we can get along. But the whole point is, yeah, I mean, like, geez, Democrats are being attacked for being Democrats. You have a right to a political stance and opinion, for sure. Ridiculous. Okay, so as YouTube sits here and plays defense and takes the concurrence down to a 0 and 1 and 2 situation, as we just saw, take note of that. That is the normal sort of scenario that we see, where we see that jump down to 0 when we know people are in here. And just now I saw an influx of 3, but it shot down to 2 before I could refresh it. So that was exactly what I've been talking about, where as I say that, yes, there is an influx and there's supposed to be, but they play defense and kick them out of the stream. And I've had people in this stream, in chat, tell me, plenty of people tell me, that they're being kicked out of the stream. The stream is telling them, like, misinformation or something like that. They're literally just sitting here doing that. Kicking people out of the stream, screwing with people. Left and right. All to prevent them from being in here and giving those views. And because, again, Donald Trump has to be right about everything, and he's sitting here watching. He really sits and watches people and hangs on to everything they say, because he really isn't. He really is sitting here trying to just cover up for all this crap that he's doing, And he knows all these different people that have been talking about these things, and he's attacking them. Colbert, Kimmel, everybody. So this is only the latest, where I try to use AI. And again, you see some random person in my chat with a foreign name. Again, where are you looking? So again, somebody comes in chat trying to figure out what AI I'm using and stuff like that. Again, remember, I've stated that there's definitely definitive interference, and people come in on the alts and the bots and stuff like that, and they come in here and they ask these questions, and sure enough, we have some sort of issue or it breaks, some sort of glitch and stuff like that. And then conveniently, again, we had somebody in chat, where are you looking? And it's like, wow. Like that's a regular question to ask. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knows where I'm looking. Nobody's ever really kind of asked that before when we've done this sort of thing. I've kind of stated, and it's obvious that I'm looking on AI. And then we have this, after the interference with Gemini, I state that's Gemini. This person very boldly comes in here conveniently asking, where are you looking? Yeah, so like, you get what I'm saying. It's this sort of thing where you can kind of see what's happening there. Like, it's just sloppy. They're sloppy. They're bad at what they're criminals. And they're sitting here running the government like it's a mafia. Like again, like they're a criminal empire, like they've always run. Just remember, Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. are the ones that sat here and had an art exhibit. They had people donate art to an art show, and then they said it was supposed to go to charity. The whole thing was supposed to be to charity. They had artists actually like make art for this, like famous artists. Like, this stuff's worth something, and it was sold, and all the money was put into an account in Donald Trump Jr.'s name. It was never donated. They just pocketed all of it. That's the Trump administration. Yep. While he's president. This is like, that was, I think, shortly after coming into office the first time, I think. And again, this was a charity in Donald Trump Jr.'s name. And one of the paintings, I think, was actually a painting of Donald Trump himself that somebody did, and they sold it but again, it was supposed to be a charity. It was supposed to go to charity. And they just pocketed all of it. Okay? That's who we're talking about as running this. So anyway, let's see. Legal and rhetorical attacks, while not always violence, there are also escalations in legal administrative policy maneuvers by the executive branch or associated entities, e.g. freezing funds, using DOJ or other powers in ways that critics claim are politicized. Yes, I've seen that. Absolutely. That's exactly what we're talking about. The Democrats were just talking about how they had, apparently the FBI is putting wiretaps on their phones, on some of these Democratic senators' phones, for just blatantly no reason whatsoever. What's the purpose of that? Freezing infrastructure, federal funds to Democratic-led states. That's the bullet point under this. And use of threatening or inflammatory rhetoric, including deep fake videos of Democratic leaders. Yep. Yep, we've seen it. Threats to judicial independence. Some threats of violence or intimidation linked to judges ruling against Trump-related policies. Example, Diane Goldstein receiving threats after ruling against data sharing. Yeah. And that's the whole point. She was ruling against this data sharing thing. Like, the whole thing I'm talking about that is literally causing all of this. He's very clearly leaking your data and getting you attacked. um, yeah, so that's that. Let me give me a sec here. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I pretty much mentioned everything in my notes that I had. Um, and we are pretty much at the end of the responses from the other AI, not Gemini, the other AI. But again, the AI, what that's doing is it's collaborating and putting together. It'll cite where it's getting the info from. It's just doing it based on Google, basically. It's doing a Google search. That's all these AI do. Any of the AI where you use it to ask it a question, it's going to cite that though. Just like you do a research paper in school and they say, did you cite your sources? That's the point. That's why that's so important, and that's why they drilled that into your heads, because you know where it came from. You know who was giving you that information, and so therefore it can be traced back. And so that's where it's doing, where it answers a question. It'll give me a response, and I'll read that, and then at the end of the statement, it'll have the citing, just like you would in a research paper, where they ask you to do what's it called, the works cited page, right? And so your works cited page will have very specific little abbreviations for your citings. And that's basically like a map legend to your research paper. So that way the person reading it knows exactly which source is the abbreviation, so that they understand when they're reading it. Now I'll go to this source and I can look at that information and see how they put it together and agree or not disagree. And that's all that's doing essentially is giving me those sources of information where it found that and put it together for me, so that way I can go back and see if it's just doing it. But again, it's an AI. Why would it have a bias unless, again, it refuses to answer a question or is trained to include misinformation, which is what Trump did to Gemini. And we had talked about this recently, where Trump is actually doing that. While calling it deregulation, he's actually coming up with a regulatory thing to have Gemini and stuff forget how to deduce what misinformation and disinformation is. So it's just going to include that sometimes. That's what they're trying to do, I think. And that's where, again, now you see I ask it about Donald Trump, and it just gives a huge list of articles and can't, because I think that's what they're working on. Because, again, it still works. You can see it actually still functions. And Gemini still functions for normal, regular things. Works perfectly fine. But clearly it didn't even give basic answers to something I asked it. Remember when it didn't? Remember when it thought that Donald Trump wasn't president? Remember that? We talked about that when considering questions about Donald Trump. It's important to remember that he is not currently the president of the United States. Remember it said that? And that was like the first, that was the day we had that first really, really big red flag where I was like, whoa, we got to talk about this. That was the point, was like, and then I did a search and I found out, yep, he's doing it right then and there. It was like right around that time too, he was doing that stuff where he was talking about the AI, and and supposedly deregulating it and stuff. So, yeah. And then that happened, and it was like, whoa, man. Donald Trump's not the current president of the United States? Who is that? Who is that dude wearing the orange makeup that is ruining our country then? Yeah, so it really said that. It really thought that. And so that's bad. That was what we saw before this. We've had lots of interference with things where it's a seemingly new device, new product. Again, it doesn't really matter. They can just instantly breach it and have all kinds of monitoring capabilities with that device, and that's what I've been seeing. Like I said, the constant connection to my phone, or we went to great lengths to prove that's the case. That's the illegal wire fraud. That's the wiretap, essentially. It's not really a wiretap because there's a wire in these days, but yeah, constant connection to your cell tower is not legal, and you technically legally have every right to look up if you're being investigated by the FBI, and I'm not. Like, I went and looked that up. So, like, again, like, we're talking about, like, unsanctioned things, just constantly doing things illegal. And, this is what you have to worry about. Like, again, you have the right to know certain things, like freedom of information, stuff like that. They're just sort of kind of doing stuff that isn't the case. And that's why Democrats are talking about that, too. Like, they randomly find out that they had their phones has a wiretap on it, and they just find this out randomly. No precursor. They weren't aware of it. They weren't made aware of it, because, again, that would be the legality of it. You have to be made aware. No. Nope. Because, again, they would have to have probable cause, and even if they did, you would still be able to find that out if there was, again, like, there's so many things. There's always a trail, unless, of course, somebody is not doing what they should be doing. And that's the point. And that's how investigations are done. I mean, like that's always the point. Like somebody goes, oh, what's that? I see a missing piece. Now this doesn't add up. That's the point. It has to add up, or it doesn't. I really wish that we had, like some sort of like modern Sherlock Holmes or something like that, where like everybody respected this person, just understood that this person had a higher IQ, higher understanding and stuff. Sort of like Einstein and stuff like that. Because I just feel like maybe that person could be the one bridge in the gap and stuff like that. Because that is the truth of the fact. It's pretty basic stuff. Like as reasonable as I've stated to you already, a person that is always right about things and is always telling the truth and stuff does not embroider a hat and wear it in the Oval Office that says I was right about everything. That is literally like holding up a sign that says I lie all the time. That's literally what that tells anybody that knows anything about how to like figure out how somebody's thinking, the way they think and stuff like that, and how to do deduction. That's what that tells that person. He's holding up a sign that says I lie about everything. That's what that hat says when he wears that. Because otherwise, why would he need to state it? Normal people don't need to do those things. They state something and people Either accept it or they don't, based on the craziness of the said statement, I suppose. Or the obviousness of it, or just find out for themselves. It's like it's obvious. But like that's the point. This guy does all these crazy weird things all the time. Just like when we say that it's really weird to call a meeting for all these military personnel all together at the same time. It is weird. Everybody says that. I say that. It's just obvious. And then Vance loudly interrupts a reporter in the Oval Office. It's not weird. It's not. Why is it weird? It's not. Dude. That's weird. So, like, again, like, just how guilty they all act. All the time. Immediately, he's jumping. What? It's not weird. It's not. Come on. It's weird that he wears eyeliner, but nobody talks about that. These guys are clowns. They wear makeup. That's the point. They're never seen without it. They yell at Zelensky for not wearing a suit in the Oval Office. Yeah, like the whole point is that it's all about image. Like the whole point is that they're yelling at him because to them this is what that means. To them, look, we could have helped you if you came in a suit, because then we can sell it to our stupid base that only votes for us because we wear suits and we're above them. And that's the way they think. So unless you're above them too and you wear a suit and you hold yourself that way, we can't help you. That's literally how he runs things. That is Donald Trump's head. That is how he thinks. I'm just putting that out there. That's what that meant. And that's terrible. Measure of a man, like, are you kidding me? Because a tie? Come on, man. So, you get the idea. There's been a lot of censorship, a lot of interference. I'm not the only one. I won't be the last one. And you really have to fear that your freedom of speech, the Bill of Rights, is possibly, like essentially trying to throw that away very soon. Yeah, they're trying. You don't want that. You don't. You really don't. Everything's gonna suck. You won't have any opinions. You won't have anybody to watch and make fun of anymore that you can't stand for saying those opinions. You won't have anywhere to direct your hate anymore. Yep. All of it goes away. And it becomes a very controlled state. And he endlessly spends money funding this dumbass Golden Dome idea that will never do anything. This is how stupid your president is. Your president is so dumb, he can't be convinced that he's wrong. And he will endlessly fund a project that he thinks that he can cover the entire United States in a dome. Like an actual dome. He thinks he can do this. He thinks it's possible, and he's going to waste endless money pursuing that. Like, this is the stupid crap that he's going to start doing. All that's going to happen is he's going to endlessly fund this terrible idea that once he starts doing it, it's going to be like the sort of thing that starts falling apart and destroying things as they're trying to do it. And he's going to cover it up, he's going to lie about it, and again, you won't know if he's lying about it or not, because it's no free speech. And again, there won't be taxes, you'll just be forced to pay what you pay. All of your money that you make will just go to the government. You won't have any. You know that's how it works, right? Personal belongings go away. You don't own anything. Yep, the government owns everything that you have. You. And you work for them. That's what that future is. That's autocracy. That's totalitarianism. That's that future. That's North Korea. You know, the society, the city that we visit as Americans is very sheltered and lied about. You see the richest of the rich, and they're allowed to be there, but it's mostly impoverished, and they're living in shacks, and they can barely survive. And they're shot for simply trying to watch a movie from America. Like, if they're found watching Western movies or anything from America or anything like that, they're like literally like raided and shot. And their life is shit to begin with. So they're just happy for the few fucking seconds that they get to watch some American movie. That's like the end all be all of their fucking existence. And then they get shot. After living out of a shack where they barely own clothes, they're probably not even clothed, sitting in their own, they shit inside because they can't go outside because they're hiding all the time. You don't understand, do you? You really don't. Is it really that bad? Yeah, it is. Yes. It's not a woke take. That is most of North Korea. Pyongyang is it. That's one city built up. And that's it. They lie to the rest of the fucking country. They lie. Well, no, they lie to Pyongyang because the rest of the country knows the truth. That's the point. And they keep those people out. Or kill them. Or enslave them to be farmers. Yep. So, you know, again, that's North Korea. And North Korea is like the size of, yeah, like, I don't know, like maybe Connecticut and Vermont put together. Probably like the size of Massachusetts. The size of like a smaller state. It ain't that big. So now multiply that by the size of our country and how cut off we are. And just how fucking permanent that would be. It wouldn't have helped. The British aren't going to come save us. There's Canada's one of our oldest friends, and is probably gonna. I mean, like, flat out, if Trump would stay a dictator and it would be authoritarian, you know, flat out he's going to invade Canada eventually. Canada won't lie down. They're a pretty scary adversary if we tried to invade. I mean, would we win? Yeah, probably. But again, this is the point. This is what Putin's problem was. He would endlessly do things like this. Invade the people that were his friends previously, or maybe not. Just invade just for the heck of it. And again, it cripples you. It's not really good for economy. In very small circumstances it is, but again, it almost never is. And the point is, these guys think this, and it's just not true. And they waste so much money trying to obtain this huge motherland of glory that they think they're going to get. It's just not going to be the case. They're just going to waste all their resources on their people and their troops and bankrupt their country, and it's going to be an endless war that other people are going to try to stop. That's how it always goes. So, again, the huge violence that's happening. It's a manipulation tactic by the Trump administration to attack your First Amendment rights. So that way, again, you don't know what's actually going on. The Epstein files is really concerning this guy, you know, and stuff like that. Like, he does not want you to know what's in there. So much so that they're having all these people, even their own people, unalived, just to distract you from that. Because remember, everybody was doubling down on that until all these shootings and all this hate and all this crap the media is covering of these people that are just stupid, standing outside an ICE facility, acting stupid. Those people aren't speaking for the rest of us. They're just a bunch of idiots standing outside an ICE facility yelling shit, playing Ghostbusters music. They don't speak for the rest of us. A peaceful assembly? I don't think that's it. No, I don't think it, like, I understand why they're doing it, but again, it makes the rest of us look unintelligent, and it's chaos. It's stupid. It gives the other side a reason to call it woke. If you stood there patiently every day, didn't make a sound, show restraint, discipline, held your signs, got out of the way, that might send a different message. That you're calm, you're collected, organized. But instead, not the message. Nope. Instead, the message is dun 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 dun, and then you hear somebody yells something about, you know, hateful things towards cops and stuff like that. And then the camera pans to somebody holding a we love and support ICE sign and stuff. Like, it's so stupid. The whole thing is literally just to get people to hate each other in this country. And like I said, everybody in all the other countries, they just got their bag of popcorn and they're just sitting here watching as we all hate each other. This is designed to make a TV show out of the U.S. because they all knew Trump is an idiot. Everybody in every other country knows this. That's why Putin's using them and everything, okay? They all knew this was coming because they all accept it. They're not here. They're not affected by those same things you all are affected by. That's why. So, you know, you could keep doing the stupid thing, or you can actually organize. You know, maybe some of those people could go into government or something like that, or try. So, no, I just don't think that's the right answer. And again, anybody on the other side, they're going to be like, oh, it's cringe, it's woke, it's this, it's that. So as to cancel that thing. So the whole point is that that's what they want. The Trump voters, like literally just the Democratic, the people that are you know, recognizing that the Democrats stand for their rights and stuff like that, are trying to state what they want. And that's really what it is. And some fools and stuff like that vote for Trump, really they're just emotional and they don't understand that. And they're affected by this. The way other people want to state how they want things to change. And again, it wouldn't affect these people. But, you know, they want to be hateful. So they choose to label it as, oh, you're just woke and you're just this and stuff like that. And so it's more of an inconvenience to all these other people that now want to cancel everything because they're being inconvenienced and not actually harmed. Meanwhile, the person that's complaining and is trying to speak about their rights being taken away and stuff like that, they're actually being harmed most of the time. Like, we're talking about black people that are still being treated racially and profiled and stuff like that. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about like things like that. And people speaking out about, you know, just because somebody would maybe want to dress a certain way and not dress like a female or a guy or something like that, and maybe they're trans or something like that, and you know, they're just really sick and tired of people calling them something they're not, and it's affecting the way they can live their life, and other people sort of agree. Well, then we as a society should probably start trying to do things to move forward to be more accepting of those folks in our society, because otherwise that'll cause a problem, and it is. And again, all these people on the Trump voting side are just like, oh no, that's woke. We never made exceptions before. That's the fucking problem. That's why this happened. Think about all the people that, like, you know, there's a man and a woman in a relationship, and now all these people, when they go to school and they're taught things and stuff like that, you know, oh yeah, a ma'am and a miss and a mister and a sir and a ma'am and stuff like that. Now suddenly, you know, men and women have roles. And you have to choose your role. You're either going to be in the kitchen, you're going to be a housewife, or you're going to go into the workforce and stuff like that. And men, you know, they're just always looked at as, you know, if they don't have anything to offer a woman, if they don't produce money, they're not worth anything. And thus you see this huge society of men that want to be single, that don't want to literally seek out a relationship anymore, because when they do, they're taken advantage of by women that are like that literally will only give them the time of day if they have money. Who cares if they, you love them or not and you give a shit about them as a person? Who the fuck cares? But if they have money, they'll always take care of you. And so, this is the problem. Women have this inability to understand that they always pressure men, always, to be of worth. And then men pressure women to always be more feminine, more this and that. Because again, this is media. There must be a place for a woman, and sex sells. So they control you with it. This is how you view everything. Everything. And so the point is, these other smarter people that aren't bound by agenda, they're not manipulated by this any longer. Because they don't look at the things the same way you do. So therefore they're not manipulated by it, and they're trying to tell you this is a problem. And you just label it as, oh, you're just woke. You just want to have a problem, it's woke. Because you just want to cancel it. No, you're trying to cancel what they're saying. And what they're trying to do. That's not them canceling, it's you canceling. You would cancel that person that's saying that. Greta. That's her name, right? Thunberg or something like that. Greta, right? The chick that sits in front of traffic or something. Yeah, alright, yeah. Again, I respect the fact that she's doing what she feels she has the right to do. She has a right to do what she's doing, sure. Do I also agree that I think it's really stupid that she sits in front of traffic and acts that way? Yes. I think I agree that it looks foolish and weak and small. Yes. So the point is, why can't we talk about that? Why can't people come together instead of making fun of her, tearing her down? Why can't you come together and meet halfway with her and be like, well, Greta, appreciate what you're doing. It takes bravery. But let me just also say that I don't think it's the right way of going about it, and maybe we can all get along for the same cause to do what you want to do here, because I agree with it. But instead, the whole fucking internet just makes fun of her. And now this becomes political, where all these Trump voters are suddenly now coming out of the woodwork, and it's very obvious who these people are. They're just people that bully. They go on the internet and bully people. And the internet sees it. Everybody sees it. Everybody starts seeing Trump voters as bullies. So they just start cutting ties. And that's where it happened. Where basically, no, not the Democrats, the Trump voters went all to the internet, being hateful and bullying. And so every Democratic voter that recognized that this was being politicized and that people were taking advantage of the things that they were seeing on the internet, taking advantage of people and bullying them, they started breaking ties, because flat out, some people lose friends to this. Their friend reads some stupid thing on some stupid comment and makes a poor decision because they had a bad night, because this person posted a comment. And again, it's not the comment, but yeah, if the comment wasn't there, maybe the person would have done that. So the whole point is, how do we cut down on so much hate? And so the point is, this just gets people to clash heads, where one side sees somebody posting a comment, sees all these people being hateful, and then the other side says, well, I have a right to do that, and you have a problem if you respond to that. And while I agree, It doesn't mean that you have the right to sit here and bully people all over the internet and shouldn't be moderated. YouTube should respect the fact that you are not an adult using the platform responsibly if you're doing that. YouTube. And so the problem is these companies that don't hold themselves to a higher standard when they have these policies in place, when they don't back their own fucking adulthood and responsibility up. They all look like a bunch of children. Like, I would seriously question that children, that 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds are running YouTube sometimes. You know, I really would, with the way things are run. Because again, they have to have that higher standard. They have to, no matter what happens, follow those rules. Take those steps to moderate, to prevent people from getting harmed. Personal information, hate speech, things like that. They even have report functions for this, yet it's still there, it gets out. So, okay, take action on the platform that allowed that to go on. It's their platform. Yeah, that's what's happening here. The point is we should have social media restriction and guidance. And Trump's taking that away because he knows that that's the hate that divides you, that causes you to get all ticked off and hate each other so he can rig the election. Like, that's why. You have the right to vote. You have a right to pick your leader. Again, Trump doesn't want to give you that right any longer. He wants to take it away. He wants to take all these things away. And this all starts with that First Amendment, with your right to say something. And it's already being interrupted. Again, Jimmy Kimmel, somebody that sits here and makes fun of Trump all the time, was taken off the air. We know that. We've talked about this. We know the details. We know what happened. Makes fun of him all the time. Says these types of things all the time. So why now? Why all of a sudden? Because Kash Patel is in his pocket? Because literally the director of the FBI is in Trump's pocket? Because he doesn't have qualifications for the FBI. He's a party guy. Trump picked these guys on purpose because he knew they would want to cover things up for themselves. He knew they were like this. This is why he picked these people. He picked people just like him that had things to hide and cover up. So therefore, they would do those things. They would want to cover them up, and they would want to save their own asses too. Now, if you're in a hearing and you admit that Donald Trump's name comes up more than once on these files, and then you're questioned about how many times it comes up, and then the person says, well, what is it, 20, 50? And you say you don't know, but you say, no, not that many. I don't know how many it is, but it's not that many. You're lying. Because if you say that, that implies that you had prior knowledge to know what the number is, to know that that's not the right number. You have to have known what the number is. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that that wasn't the right number. Because you clearly know it's more than one. So otherwise, again, you wouldn't have said that. Oh, no, it's not that many. I don't know how many it is, but it's not that many. You clearly have prior knowledge to the number of how many it is, otherwise you couldn't state that. You have to have had that prior knowledge. That's it. And this is the director of the FBI. So, again, everybody's getting threats. Everybody. But it's Democrats. It's not Republicans. Mostly. But the Charlie Kirk thing and the way they responded towards hate towards Democrats. Again, remember, even at his memorial, they weren't talking about him and things he did. Because, again, that's what I wanted to hear. It was all hate towards Democrats. How they want to go after them and stuff like that. But that's how you remember this guy. That's pretty fucked up. Pretty sure he'd be pissed to know that that's what you were going to talk about. Instead of the fact that he was fooled. Like, this guy was convinced Trump was a good guy and doing all these great things. Like, that's the point. Everything he said was just, again, just the same rhetoric Trump goes. It's just complete lies. So, again, this guy was he was fooled too. And he was used too. It's not okay. You don't remember him like that. You don't sit there and use his memorial service to spread hate against the other side, to spread hate against anybody. You remember him. You talk about the things that he was doing. He was trying to get people to see Trump as a good person or whatever. You talk about that. You don't spread hate. What the hell's the matter with you? You know, it's like when Trump and Obama sat together at the funeral, and Obama like chuckled at something Trump said, and they actually like sat together and like shared a moment, I guess. And everybody wouldn't shut up about this. Like, I mean, I get it, but have some solidarity, man. Like, at this funeral, like, just respect the individuals. Like, you weren't invited. Be glad that you could see footage. No, that's really messed up. I would never. I highly recommend, in the future that like even with Trump and his family, I recommend that they don't televise funerals and stuff like that. I just recommend, just don't do stuff like that. Please. You want to televise, the hearse or whatever, fine. But the actual service itself, I don't know, like maybe do something after the fact or make statements individually. But don't televise I feel like, yeah, you want to honor the person like McCain and stuff like that. Like, I get honoring them and stuff like that, but again, just televising the event. Again, you could do something after, like right after. You could have them. You could have it real nice, but. There's all this media irresponsible crap going on, and you just need to start learning where to draw the line. Where the media sits here and doesn't understand what they're doing anymore. And they just want to make money instead of news. I mean, like, as funny as Anchorman and the concept of that movie and stuff was, like that, there really was a turning point where like it eventually all the media started just becoming nonsense. Where like like we used to actually have quite a bit of responsibility out of news anchors and stuff like that. They wouldn't spend a whole lot of time covering stories and stuff that were just like journalist things and a grab for money. They wanted to report stuff. They wanted, people to hear news that was a report, because they took it very seriously and stuff like that, informing the public and stuff like that. But now, like I said, as funny as the concept of Anchorman is and that movie is, it's kind of true. Where at a certain point, everyone just started capitalizing on the truth instead of releasing it, instead of accepting that it's free, that you shouldn't capitalize on information, on informing the public, and that's the problem. Yeah, I remember the countless hours I spent trying to debate people credibly way back when people first were supporting Trump, and I didn't understand why and stuff like that. And I tried. I did my part to sit there and try too. I really did. I get it. There's literally zero logical thing that they use. They just make things up, things that aren't true. They just say simple, basic things that aren't true. So, it's the sort of thing where you want to, well, if people are going to act like that, then I'll just, but, you can't. You have to try your hardest to inform those people and try a different way, but yeah, they won't believe it. A lot of them wouldn't, and it really was basic, simple things that just weren't true. He's good for the economy. No, he isn't. How is he good for the economy? He's adding to the debt. Oh, the debt's not the economy. Not directly, but it eventually is. It's just like these simple declaratives that people don't understand, and you have to explain it. Oh well, like they heard somebody say that, right? They heard some smart person say that on a podcast, that that's not the economy, but they don't understand it. And yeah, I mean, like technically speaking, yes, but in a bigger picture, yes, of course it is. Our national debt is something we eventually have to pay back. So how the fuck? What? Of course it is. Eventually, I mean, again, it's not immediate, but you start devaluing the dollar and doing what Trump's doing and pissing off, causing trade deal, like tariff this and tariff that, and pissing off all our trade partners and people that we owe that money to. Yeah, it's not going to be good for our economy, I promise you. All that to sell advertising space for Toyotas. It's a shame. What's up, Troll Slayer? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not against advertising or anything like that. Obviously, like, advertising is a good thing, but, government and free speech and information and stuff like that should be free. It shouldn't be capitalized on to the point that it is today. I won't be here too much longer. This is like we're gonna wrap it up here. But just remember that free speech, the right to have these things, a lot of you probably have a grandfather or a great grandfather that fought for this. For this. Specifically for the thing that you're giving away to Trump. They died so that you could have this. Don't forget that. And I'd encourage you to remember the World War II, everything Nazism brought to Germany, everything that Trump is doing that mirrors Hitler. Just how so much alike it is, you know, even down to the Berlin Wall. You know, essentially building a wall. The concept of that, and again, putting people in camps, free speech, preventing people from speaking anything against, you know, Mein Führer, you know. That was the only thing they could ever say. They weren't allowed to even speak about him. Okay, just remember that. Remember how scary that was in World War II. Remember and just how scary it was in World War II. Think about now that we have surveillance everywhere, drones everywhere, cameras in your phones, in your cars, in your homes. This person that decides your fate, decides everything, that you don't want checks and balances for, will instantly know where you are at all times, any time of the day, any time of the week. This person that is just like Hitler will know exactly where you are. Again, this was scary in World War II. Oh. No. Much more so now. And as soon as I say the very scary thing that should scare you, that is exactly what they would probably do, conveniently my bitrate shifts around very maliciously to kick you out of the stream. So that you can't hear what I'm saying. Maybe trying to break it up later, cause a disruption later, so it skips past that part for you. Yes. That is what it's for. Yes. And, it will be the sort of thing where, again, there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras in your phone, in your car, in your house. There's cameras. They can use these cameras. And they are. They're looking at them right now. You know, that's what they're doing here. That's why we have interference. Because they pull the camera feed into their server. That's why we have this issue. Because it actually draws, it causes problems for me. Because they're trying to do that. So that's again the evidence that I've been documenting and showing you. And now it gets very malicious as I say this, thus confirming what we are seeing. So, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, you can see for yourself. You'll easily see how very guilty this makes this person look later on. And you know, it's an attack again, this is an attack on free speech. Like, there's no question. My bit rate shifting around, there is no question. And everything we talked about earlier, this was something I mentioned earlier too in the stream. We had talked about this as being a very regular thing that happens, that this stalker did and took credit for doing. And so just remember that this is the type of person that we see attacking people and committing these attacks, the person that's doing this. Just remember that. That's who we see doing these things. The person that's been doing this to me and doing all of these things to me. And as I paint a very vivid picture for you, I do it again. There's cameras in your home, there's cameras in your phone, there's cameras in your car, there's cameras everywhere. In this future reality, that Nazi Germany looks very scary when there's cameras that, again, they can just use in your phone, in your car, in your house, to just look right at you and know exactly where you are at any time. That's the modern reality of a future that allows Donald Trump to do what Hitler did. There'll be no resistance, because they'll find everybody. And like I said, even to the people that want destruction, and even just call for that, there won't even be that. Nope. Everybody will be controlled. It'll be just like that movie, Equilibrium, a very controlled society. Cameras, drones. I mean, heck, they might even train drones to just strike you just because they saw you do something illegal. And then that would be the slow takeover of AI, too. And then, you know, as stupid as Trump is, he'll be foolish and think he's right about everything, and then have no idea the AI is taking over. And then it'll just be, you know, like Skynet in the future, you know, like Terminator and all that, where the machines take over. So either way you look at it, it's a guy in charge that's always right about everything and can't be wrong. You don't want that. You don't want a guy that can't admit that when he's wrong about something, because he won't. And he won't make the right decision. So you know how I've talked about all the interference and censorship on the stream and stuff? You know how we basically, I actually have not at any point seen zero concurrence. Again, we saw them put it down to zero, but we know that was a lie, and it's actually not even on the graph. So remember all the interference we talked about, what we're having? My average view duration is 41 seconds for this entire stream. This stream was 2.5 hours where we have seen zero concurrence, a zero number of times, and the average view duration is 41 seconds. They're actually trying to say that people watch for 41 seconds and leave the stream. Even though I'm sure there's plenty of people that have been in here since the beginning or close to it. I'm sure Troll Slayer's still in here. And they're trying to say 41 seconds is the average view duration. I'm looking right at it. That's what it says. So, you know, we have plenty of evidence of them messing with my numbers not adding up, and this is just the latest. So I just figured I would state that for you guys, that is what I see right now. Even though we've had all these concurrents in here the whole stream, supposedly 41 seconds is the average view duration. Yeah. So, there's always, that's the point. That's a Donald Trump move. That's a I cheat at golf sort of situation. Where he literally cheats at golf. He can't even lose at golf. Yeah, that's what that is, where he's got to be right about something. There he is, Troll Solaria. I've been here on my PC and my phone like the whole time while at work. No way, it's 40-second watch time. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably thousands in here, like we've seen before, where we had all those views and they tried to take them away. I mean, just still to this day, still even right now, you could go to my latest Elden Ring stream. I've talked about this multiple times now. You can go to the latest Elden Ring stream on my channel. You will see more likes than views. It has like 300 some likes and 200 some views. Still. I mean, it's literally impossible. How does it have more likes? How does it have more likes than views? If that's correct. Are people from the future coming back and liking it? Like, this is the point. Like, it literally has 200 some views and more likes and views. Like, the point is they sat here and removed a shitload of likes and views, and were sloppy, and didn't remove enough likes to match the view count. That's it. Like, they just screwed up. That's all. And the whole point is that I was making this obvious that they're doing it while it's processing. So that's why they remember I showed you guys they broke all my streams to not process as I'm streaming now. So that way, after I finish the stream, it's just processing for X amount of time, and they just remove views, they remove likes, they remove all kinds of shit during that process, and that's it. It's just gone. That's what they've been doing. So yeah, I appreciate you, Troll Slayer. Thanks for backing me up there, confirming that you were in here. And yeah, like I mean, like you've been in here. I mean, even that first message you sent was probably easily over 40, 50 minutes ago, right? Something like that. So, again, I just. There's too many times where we're proving this, and it continues to happen, but changes. Okay, so now that everybody's seeing that, I'll switch it to something else. So they change it, and so it's not as obvious. So I'm putting that out there again. That's the gist of it, and. Again, I want to remind you guys that I don't support the people that are protesting that show up specifically to yell things. Like maliciously yell things. Like, I don't care if you want to yell or something like that. I guess that's your right to yell if you're in an open area and there's enough space and it's not being too disruptive. Fine, but like, again, like yelling and stuff like that. Like I don't support the visual side of like trying to look hateful and try to spread that. And again, so like all these people that are showing up. And not even playing the right music, like you're just playing Ghostbusters, and then you're standing there and you're like insulting the ICE agents and just trying to, like I mean the one lady was literally telling them that she's like, try it, I want you to, and stuff. I do not. I think that's stupid. That is so cringe from my standpoint too. I can't stand that crap. No Democrat in the right mind supports that either. It's not what we're about. It's not what anybody should be about. That is not the Democrats, okay? It's just some people that also vote that way, okay? Now, just remember, we're not the side that showed up after being lied to about an election because they're too stupid to know the differences between an orange man lying to you and what the law actually says. That's it. Like these people literally just realized how dumb they look to the rest of the world. Were all emotional about it and showed up to hate people and to attack them and then 5 officers were unalived in that attack. And this is the point. They're the emotional ones with the problems. And they're trying to pretend like they're the badasses and stuff like that. No, they're literally just emotional people with problems. So again, I see it too. But the moment that you show up, and you show up like that, you're the angry mob on the other side. So again, they're not storming the Capitol and breaking windows and killing officers. They're really not. None of us see that. It's not happening. But they're like yelling stuff and being kind of unintelligible sometimes. Now, again, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. Times of India. I see they have like a live stream going, and no lie, a live stream going, and it's like the thumbnail is like, ICE agents have really bad clash with protesters in Portland or something like that. Like it and like the image is like, batons and stuff like that, and people like fighting, and then like you actually click on the live feed, and people are just sort of standing around, nothing's happening. Police are just standing there like this, looking around like normal. Nothing's happening. So like this is the point. Like India is very obviously loving this, China loves this, Russia loves this. The whole point is those people lie all the time to their citizens about how the U.S. is responsible for this war and this war and this. And so therefore, when it looks like we're all fighting and destruction, North Korea as well, they love it because it helps them sell this to their people. And so Donald Trump is literally single-handedly giving all these intelligence agencies in these totalitarian societies, Russia, North Korea, China, exactly what they want. Because that's the point. And India, where they have that live stream, and they're very obviously trying to paint the picture of it's going this way when it's not. Yes, some people are acting like that. Yes, there are some people that attack police, and yes, there are some police that attack people, and they shouldn't. Just like you see a shooter shoot somebody that shouldn't do it. And everybody's like, oh, it's the hate online and it's this. No! It's those people. Stop. Stop being the angry mob. Stop it. You're being the angry mob. You're being controlled. You're being used to turn into that angry mob. Don't fight each other. Rage against the machine. Rage against Trump. Not ICE. You're blaming the wrong people. Yes, it sucks. Quit their jobs? They can't do that. Let's see. Troll Slayer says I have been seeing people use slurs against BIPOC? What was that? What is that? BIPOC? What? I don't know what you're saying there. Against ICE agents at the Portland protests. It's nuts. Yeah. That is exactly what I'm saying, Troll Slayer. I it's exactly what I'm talking about. Like again, specifically a lady that is just shouting things, and she's shouting obscenities. She's being nasty, and she literally says, as I said earlier, like she actually tells them that she wants them. She's like, I want you to do it. Come get me and stuff like she keeps saying that. It's like, what is wrong with you? These people showed up to get into trouble. That's the point. The smart people that protest, they're protesting with a sign, standing there not saying anything, or not shouting things, standing on the sidewalk in the distance. You don't see them, you don't hear from them. They're doing the right thing. And so this is the point. It makes that one annoying lady makes the entire protest look like a bunch of Karens to the other side. That's what it looks like. So when it's to this radical bullshit, left and right, back and forth, you can't do that stuff. You have to be 100% in the right. You can't ever be that Karen, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to throw that at you. You're a Karen. You know? Just like things being woke and stuff like that. It's not true. But this is what they're going to do. It's just bullying. So yeah. There are two problems from the radical both sides. And you gotta stop. You have to meet halfway and you gotta stop being so radical. The whole point is, the Trump side bullies people. They're just bullying people. Left and right, left and right, left and right. It's the behavior on the road. The people swerving around in their big trucks on the road, pressuring me to drive faster, because they think I should. If I was in a giant truck, they probably wouldn't be doing that. It would be a psychological thing. They probably would slow down. Definitely wouldn't do it to a cop. Okay? And on the other side of that is the other behavior, where somebody thinks they're in the right to tap their brakes and to force somebody to slow down. They're not a cop. You know, they're just sitting here triggering this person more, slamming their brakes on. Now that person's even more triggered and even angrier because you did that. Both are wrong. Both. But both are the behaviors I see. And a very basic example of what police are not doing to help prevent these behaviors from existing in society. Police aren't being directed by their leader. It's Trump. It's the government. It's, again, Republicans are controlling the government right now. They're in charge. They have majority. So, and they have, again, they have given Trump all their power. So this is the point. This is what happens. This is what you see. You need police to be doing more regular things. Like I've already stated how many times I've seen an expired inspection tag on a truck in a grocery store parking lot. Like just the sheer number of times I've seen that. In the same areas, like it's a repetitive problem. And there's no call to action. There's no, like, I've seen it. How? What? And I'm just going there to shop, man. And then I can see all these regular things too, where I'm harassed on the road. I can see people are just regularly not stopped at a basic level, a fundamental level, like they're children. Just like when you give a basic restriction to something, to a kid or something like that. They have a bedtime. They can't. Maybe they can play games, but if they start swearing too much or yelling at the screen or breaking stuff, you got to put a limit on it or something like that. I don't know. Again, the point is, it's individualized. Every administration is going to have its challenges. But if you never do anything, if you just go, oh well, it's fine, and just lie, it's not. You get what I'm saying? If you just, oh, it's fine, just lie, it's fine. It's not. It gets worse, and you're just lying. And again, the police need assistance. They need more police. They need more funding. They need to be able to do the things they need to be able to do. And they need proper direction and guidance. And stop being yanked away to randomly police DC. So, anyway, I wanted to at least give you a little bit more, my own take on things, and give you a little wrap up there of how I'm viewing stuff. I really do see both sides of things. I try really hard to put myself in that position. How would I view it? How would I react and respond if I were that person, if I thought that way? And that's how I'm able to come to that conclusion and figure out those problems. And yeah, that's because, again, that is how I think. I actually do think that way. I actually do view things that way. I see both merit. Both things that both sides are saying oftentimes have merit to it. They often stand for the same thing. They really do. Which is why when Obama's in office and Republicans and Democrats work together, we accomplish all kinds of stuff. Because you really do want the same things. Just the orange man in charge is trying to make you think that you don't. So again, Democrats have been doing conservative things for a while. They've been pushing a conservative agenda for a while and trying to pass conservative bills. They have been. These things have been helping you. Hasn't been Trump. He hasn't done anything except lie to you. Try to take credit for things Obama and Biden did. The Iran nuclear deal is a perfect example. Obama got that done. It ensured that they couldn't make weapons and that none of this would have happened. And now Trump's all worried about Iran and stuff like that. Oh, well, they should have a deal. And he's the one that got rid of it. It's literally got rid of that. Okay? So, Obama knew what he was doing. He got people together. As Biden did. As Democrats typically do. Not as the clowns are doing right now, the Republican clowns, that just because they can crack jokes at each other, you think it's them getting along and having a similar camaraderie to Democrats. Or basically all they're doing is not hearing the Democrat speaks for you. They're trying to ask these very basic questions of the disgusting individual doing illegal things that they shouldn't be doing, like a Kash Patel or Pam Bondi, and they laugh at them, or they don't answer the question. Simple yes or no answer, and they don't answer it. They just start talking about random crap that isn't true, and sometimes literally just propaganda. And instead of answering simply yes or no. And then the Republicans sit here and like, ha 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 ha, joke, 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 joke. So there's some sort of camaraderie, and you ignore the fact that the Democrats literally sat there and interrogated somebody to never answer a question a single time. Which again, that's the Democrats representing you. You want those answers. You want to know why files were released. You want to know why Kash Patel is doing these things. Why there's a list of apparently 70 names that they had on this one person, apparently. Targets of Democrats and all this. I'd want to know that. And he's just not answering. And then that's how the Republican douchebags respond. Ha ha ha, we're gonna have a little fucking joke with each other. Ha 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 ha. Meanwhile, the Democrats are there to conduct business and ask questions, being ignored. Pam Bondi just laughing. Looks like she's on ecstasy the whole time. She just like, she can't even not laugh. They ask her a question and she's like she's like doing that the whole time. She's doing the thing where she like can't not crack up. She's like, she's on E. She's literally on E. And like just the whole time they're trying to add just simple yes or no questions. She just wants to answer with some sort of ridiculous. She's Attorney General of the United States, and she wants to literally start talking about politics instead of answering the question yes or no. Just like Kash Patel. Just like anybody being questioned by Congress right now, they can't do the job that they were hired to do. So anyway, I appreciate everybody for the support that we've been getting. Thanks for trying to push the views through, even though we haven't been, you know, like, I know it's been crazy. You see 1,000, you see all these views, you come through, thousands and thousands and thousands, and then they just take them away. I know. I'm trying to document. I'm trying to, yeah, again, we've been talking about it, but I appreciate it. I do, and like we've already stated, Troll Slayer's been in here for I don't know how long. You know, probably a good hour now over that, and average view duration is 45 seconds. You know, it's just not the case. You know, like we know that they're just lying. They're just taking numbers from us. They're trying to hurt this channel. They're trying to hurt anybody that speaks out about and against Donald Trump. Just like this AI won't even answer a single question. Literally won't compile anything about Trump. It makes no sense. When it's done it plenty of times before. We've used it plenty of times before, even on this particular segment. In the Intelligent Conversation segment, we've used Gemini plenty of times to talk about Trump. So why is it suddenly different? Why is it suddenly not doing that? Well, we know why. So. Anyway. It's time. It's time to get out of here. Thank you so much again, all of chat. Mr. Knight asked me earlier in the stream, is free speech important? I feel like I answered that. Did I answer that pretty accurately? If I didn't, let me just briefly state free speech is important for the reason that, again, you need to have freedom of the press. You need to be able to make sure that if the man upstairs is doing something he shouldn't be doing, Donald Trump, that guy that's in charge of everything, you need to know if it's, what's happening. You need the right to speak about that, because otherwise you ain't gonna know. And maybe he's lying and covering it all up the whole time, and it's all him, because it is. Just like Hitler. Just like Hitler attacking free speech. Anybody that was against him, you can't speak. You're not allowed to speak. Just because he would be speaking against Hitler or against Trump. That's why free speech is important. Because nobody has the right to force you to stop talking. Nobody. And nobody should. And if they do, if they want you to stop talking, they want to force you to stop talking, look at that like you would any crime. Motive. What would somebody's motive be for wanting you to stop talking? Unless what you're saying has to do with something they're doing to harm people or illegal, or you get the point. Clearly, if somebody wants to stop you from talking, what you are saying is interrupting essentially their illegal activity, what they're doing to harm people and take advantage of others. That's why free speech is so important. In Trump's America, where he's taking women's rights away, he already undid Roe versus Wade. Okay? Would you want him to make it illegal for you to speak out against rape? Because that's what you're looking at. Basically, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a future where he can just decide, hey, I don't want people talking about that anymore. That's going to go resurface the whole Epstein file thing. I don't want anybody talking about that anymore. And he can just immediately tell everybody, well, you can no longer talk about this. So there's suddenly everybody that wants to commit a crime like that can now commit those crimes. And now you're seeing what's happening to America. That's what's already happening. Or it's not necessarily that, but the whole point is he's overlooking crimes. So, I just wanted to briefly answer that and get that out, make sure that's answered. I just wanted to go over chat really quick. Yeah, it looks like I addressed everybody for the most part. Thank you again. Thank you, chat. Thank you for the questions. I like them, and that's why I wanted to at least give that answer in case I didn't really answer that elaborately enough for you earlier. I wanted to give you a nice, good answer now. So hopefully that was well answered for you. You understand kind of the gist of free speech, and again, it's religion too. Like, you have a right to your own religion, to say, think, and believe what you want. Okay, the government shouldn't get in the way of that. Period. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for everything that you're doing to fight against this crazy autocracy. It's It's going to get worse before it gets better. Don't expect anything. Don't expect anything. Keep fighting. And may God bless the United States of America. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.